Hello, this is Colonel Braxton Beauregard Burlique'S the Fifth, adventurer, treasure hunter, swashbuckler extraordinaire, at your service, madam. Well, now, tonight's topic is going to be my introduction to my course on how to pick up women. Now, as you can see, my set here is very sparse compared to my normal one, but, you know, I've been, very busy lately, and I thought, well, I'm here having a drink, but you don't mind it. I'm going to have a nice bit of this here whiskey. Oh, yes, that's very good. Nice, smooth whiskey. Anyway, the topic for tonight is going to be how to pick up women. This is the introduction to the course. It is not the actual course, it's the introduction to kind of introduce you to the topic. Now, as you all know, women are one of the great mysteries of the world. There's been billions and billions of dollars that have been spent trying to figure out how they tick, what makes them give their preference and favors to perhaps one over another. And, that's something that I've been trying to figure that out for years. And, I've written some notes on the topic, and as you can see, I have my notes here. I've been working very hard. Now, one thing I'd point out is before we can even really get into how to pick up the women, we have to assess ourselves. We have to take stock of, what we have to offer, because, you sure as hell better think of it this way, that, any sort of relationship type situation, whether it's going to be just some sort of a wango-tango sexual relationship, physical relationship, whatever you want to call it, or true love, what matters really is what you have to offer, and what you're going to be exchanging for what they have to offer. And part of that is what I call pay attention, son, damn it, you better pay attention, what I call the Colonel Burlique'S attraction principle. And what it is it's sort of like a scientific graph we have here. Let me see if I can get this. Now, the first thing we have here is you have your age, okay? Now, you have to understand something. The older you are, okay, no matter how personable, we have personalities reflected here, but that is a marginal thing. That might be maybe 5 to 10% of the equation. The majority of the equation, son, is going to be, the age. And the higher your age, boy, the higher your income and assets is going to have to be. Because, look at it this way. If you dispute, well, Colonel Burlique, there is true love. Well, to that I'd answer this, son, is if you believe that, perhaps you believe in the Easter Bunny, or perhaps you really think Santa Claus is going to come to town and give you all these free gifts, But anyway, this is the truth of it. The higher your age, the higher that your income and assets have to be. Because no matter what they tell you, if you're going to attract the young lady, and this goes with the age, the higher and the age of the young lady, the lower that is, the higher your income's going to have to be. Now, if you don't believe me, I cite you many examples, but the most famous ones I could give you is that one that OD'd over the dope. What was her name? I can't remember. She was some sort of stripper girl. She had been married to this old man who was like 88, 89 years old. What the hell was that? Nicole something, I think. But anyway, she was, I'm in love with him. Yeah, right, sure. The man was a fossil. She was in love with his bank account, his money, his assets. I think the poor boy's son, I think he had to go to court even to get a little bit of money out of that estate. And another example I'd give you would be, of course, the famous Hugh Hefner. He was married several times. He was a personal friend of mine, the old Colonel. I enjoyed many a party at the mansion, whether it was in Chicago or out there in Los Angeles. I ran into Hef many times over the years. Some of the talent I managed. We did business together. But anyway, I think that it's absolutely proven that he had several wives, and of course this principle applied there. The higher Hef's age got, if he wanted to get the young women, 20-some-year-olds, his money had to be up there. And, definitely, and over the years he apparently had some good lawyering, because he wasn't wiped out by one wife. He had several wives, and most of them, I think with the exception of his first wife, I think they're all centerfold, models that appeared in his publication. So definitely. And there's another factor here, although not as important as this one here, the money, the assets you have, is, if you do have any good looks. And, that's arguable, and we could talk about that. My experience has been, taller you are, you could be a big, tall, ugly son of a bitch. You're going to have a better chance of getting the women. There's no doubt I've seen that over the years, and, well, all I can tell you is if you're some sort of runt, you're going to have a hell of a time, It's very rare you see a tall woman with a short man, although, I've seen a few over the years, but not that many. But, these are some of the factors. Now, of course, as I stated earlier, personality, well, it does, come into play on some aspect of this. But, like I said, these are the major things here. Personality, and I will say, I've seen some women, they've been with some guys that they'd be like, well, he's a complete idiot. He's an asshole. And then here's another one I would add, too, I've seen. We talk about the bad boy. And I'll add douchebag factor. There are some women, they will go for what I guess they consider are the bad boys. They like that sort of outlaw image. And in fact, in the Seinfeld show, they actually put that principle, they illustrated that with, of all people, George Costanza, that they showed he was, kind of acting like the bad boy. He had that reputation, and this girl was attracted to him. The bad boy, rebel. That's good for a certain extent, maybe to a certain age. Although some women, I will say, they're kind of turned on by sort of the gangster type fella. I mean, there's different things psychologically that might give you an advantage, at least perhaps, to get yourself, how can I say it, well, I guess no more to say perhaps you'll get laid, that sort of thing. You might go you for a little while until finally she wakes up and realizes you're a complete idiot and a douchebag. Although the douchebags, it's amazing. I've seen some women are very loyal to the douchebags. If they have money, my God, that will be a lot. They'll get, that marriage, if they do get married, it could go 15, 20 years. I've seen that over the years. So as you can see, there's a lot of things that are at play when we're talking about relationships and getting, seeing how you're going to do here. Seeing how you're going to do here. Now, one other point that I would make is that, let's see what I have on my other page of notes here. Yes, of course. Now, one thing I'm going to say, and this is very important, is that, okay, as I said, you have to take stock of yourself. Let's just say, whatever your age, whatever your income, however you look, you're going to have to improve what you do have to offer. And to do that, perhaps one thing I will say is you should always, look your best. It's like you look at here, this guy here in this old handkerchief container here from the 1960s I had in my closet. He's all scrubbed and clean, and look, he even has his embroidered handkerchiefs. Look, it was a gift somebody gave me, and I didn't even use it. It was in the closet. But as you can see, he's all cleaned up, and that kind of goes against the bad boy thing. But definitely, unless you have some woman that has a perversity towards you being a stinky bastard, you're going to have to clean yourself up and groom yourself. And as always, you're going to have to throw a few dollars around. I'm talking real spending money. And just like the George Harrison, he sang that song. It was an old song. It's going to take time, a whole lot of time, and it's going to take money, plenty, and spending money to do it right, babe. Because you're trying to, you're trying to have your own. You're exchanging your dinners, your conversation, your own physical attractiveness to some of these women, and who the hell knows what makes some of them tick. I can only give you general principles that I've learned being married, over all these, over 60 some years plus, being married, 4 times. So, but one thing I will say is, okay, clean yourself up. You get yourself a decent car, damn it. You have to have something decent. And one thing too is you have to have a nice place to take the young lady. Whether it's going to be your home or a fancy hotel room, whatever, you're going to have to, you can't be cheap on that, son. You can't say, oh, well, I'll take you back to the trailer court. That's not going to do you well, son. That's going to go very badly for you unless she's some trailer trash bum, which that will be the subject of another talk. I'll give it another time. But, well, you don't mind. I'm going to take another drink of this here whiskey. Oh, boy, that's good, I have to say. Very good. But you're going to have to get, have a decent place. You're going to have a decent vehicle. I'm not talking well, my car, it's all cleaned up. No, you're going to have something nice. And you don't have to go overboard, but got to have something that was manufactured at least within the last 10 years. It's going to have to be clean. It's going to have to be nice. Hell, if you find the right girl, you're going to have to maybe even go to the rental car agency if you have to. But you're going to have to, and then, but you say, well, Colonel, I can do that, But what about, what if she finds out I'm a pizza delivery man? Well, the answer to that is this, and I have it written in bold letters here on the page. You're going to have to lie some more, and keep lying again until you have something real to offer the young lady. You can't, if she knows what the real deal is, that you're really just some pizza delivery man, or, you're just, you're not up there, you're going to have to, well, at least for now, you're going to have to pretend that you're something other than what you really are. Now, I know some people say, that's deceptive, Colonel. She's going to find out in the long run and everything else. You got to understand, just like these Jim Beam golf balls, okay? You're going to have to bring some real balls to the table and be nervy, and frankly, you're going to have to be a little deceptive. Why? Because if you told the truth, what do you think's going to happen? She's not going to answer your phone calls. You're not going to see her anymore. So what I'm going to say is you want to keep up the subterfuge as long as you have to until either you have established yourself with what we'll call an intimate relationship. At least short term, you'll at least get the glory and feel of that and the fun. But the long term, son, well, all I can tell you is, maybe either you can later on, if you feel you build a rapport up, you could tell the truth, which I usually don't recommend, but at least, until perhaps you've achieved something on your own that you could point to as a success. Perhaps you could, if you are going to lie, you You could say, like, for instance, if you're a garbage man, you just say that you own the company, that you're an executive type fella. Something like that. Then later on, you get a promotion or something else. At least you've got something that you can point and well, I told you I was in the trash removal business. You got to have something at least there, son. Let's see. Do I have any other notes here? Ah, yes. This other notes, I jotted this down the other night. Now, we're going to cover this. These are your options, okay? Other than, okay, let's say you are not, and we'll get into this in the other courses, say that you are not very skilled at, at what we're talking about here, that, I'm going to have another drink, you don't mind. Let's just say that you're not too successful in getting yourself like some sort of really good-looking girl, and what you're really looking for is a couple things. You could, as they say, take the ride you can get now, and then later you could trade up. That's what I'd recommend. Or you could settle upon, what you might be able to obtain, at least, Now, the options are, if you go this route, is the ugly girl. Now, the ugly girl, well, she's not going to be so discriminating. She's going to be very grateful for any, attention you show her. And that would be nice, But what can I say? They say that there's a port for every ship. That would be really your last option, I think. This is just, you could end up psychologically damaged over this option. I mean, you could have nightmares later over this if, it's a really, I should put, really ugly girl. And, maybe you could settle upon a plain girl, somebody who's, not bad looking, but not great looking. But, if you want to settle on that, you could have yourself at least, some fun. Sort of like driving around in an old Plymouth Acclaim, something like that. But that's something to me that's just kind of temporary. Now, this one here has its options too. We're talking about the older woman. Now, obviously, the older you are, the other principle still applies. So if you're like 90 years old, you're going to need the money. But let's assume you're some sort of a young fella, like, 20s, early 30s, okay. This is a great option right here. Now, this is the older woman, what I think some in modern parlance they call the MILF. And I'm not going to get into what that term is. You can look that up. But what this is this gives you an option, perhaps a woman who's been in a marriage or she's already been through one or two marriages. And, she's still good looking, but she's older. But, and some would say, that's somebody's leftovers. And, what I've said to people is you can make yourself a great stew with some leftovers. Now, the older woman, just like in the Benny Hill song, they won't tell, they won't yell, and they're as grateful as hell. Give me an older woman every time. You could still find some, woman who perhaps was good looking when she was younger, and now, she's not quite as good looking. She's kind of got some age to her, but you could still, once you strip her down, you'd be surprised some bodies on some of these women. So this is definitely an option. Okay. Then we have this here. Now this you got to be very careful of here. This would be the sluts and assorted whores. Now that's a very dangerous area here because, you could end up with some sort of if you're not careful, in any situation you're not careful, you could end up with some sort of venereal disease. You better pay attention. This is important. This is like when I was in the service. They say they do old film, don't let this happen to you. So yes, you could end up with like sluts and assorted whores. Basically, it comes down to this. They're only going out with you on the sluts because you're spending money, the expensive dinner, the gifts and all that. You're buying yourself a whore. She'll last until you've run out of your gifts and expensive meals you're given. And then here the assorted whores would be what would be sort of, well, what it is. It would be, the call girl type escort situation, which is always kind of, well, that's kind of bad too. You're spending a lot of money. The only thing you can say about that is you're walking away. I can't say clean because I don't know if you would be clean after that, but at least you have no, entanglements. You've made a straight transaction, and it's over, and you're finished. And then here's another part of that would be, as we're seeing so prevalent these days, the massage parlor, which I'm told in some towns, well, that's a full service thing. At least you get halfway around the merry-go-round with that. There's some people do that. And then, of course, we have the other option here. And mind you, this is all the short-term thing. Unless you want to settle down here with the ugly or plain girl, they would be very happy to do that, I'm sure. But that's not for the Colonel, as you know, and I don't think it should be you, especially if you're watching this here channel. Now, the other option you have would be an overseas, what I call the whore tour. That's if you go perhaps to Amsterdam, you go to, say, Costa Rica, you could go to Thailand. Now that, with the COVID, that's going to be shut down at least indefinitely. And I suppose some of the third-tier countries you might go to, like, say, Nicaragua, Colombia. And I actually, the Colonel, I've made a world tour myself, and I have one friend of mine. He's an expert. He knows every spot, all corners of the earth. The man's an expert. Perhaps I can lure him on the show to give us a little talk on that and some examples in his trials and tribulations, his adventures over there. And then, of course, this has been around for years. You have sort of what I call the mail order brides. Now, this is for the real suckers. Now, this is always, for the real suckers. But like we've had in the last, 20, 25 years, we have these women on these websites. What they want to do, if they even exist, would be to have you send them money and gifts and all that. And, part of that you could say, and I've seen, and I'm going to add a little category because my thinking is a bit old-fashioned because, I'm going back quite a number of years. But, this, that's always, usually if they do want to come over here, they want a green card, they want to take advantage of you, and they, you'll get some good sex out of it, I suppose, but the problem is it's going to cost you a lot of money. And if you marry them, boy, that's going to cost you a hell of a lot of money. And the old Colonel says that option should be off the table. Then, you could play the game. But this goes back to the sluts and whores. You could go on these dating sites, and you'll meet the same sort of types that we have covered up here. So, we covered a big gambit of things here. I think that's all the notes I have on this for now. But you're going to run into all kinds of situations. Like, here's one thing. Like this. Here. Now, look, this is a book about Sybil, and there's been a number of women that I've met over the years. They've been like Sybil. They're crazy. 1 minute they're very nice. They're talking to you nice. And the next minute they either want to take you for every dime you have, or they want to cut your testicles off. And it's just terrible. I have to tell you that, it's dangerous out there, boy. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to save you all the troubles and trials and tribulations that the old Colonel had to go through out there. So, this gives you an overview of what to expect out there, what kind of thing what we're dealing with. Here, let me get this out of, what we're dealing with here, boy. And, as you know, I'm trying to enlighten you, to let you know what's going on here. I don't have my usual set. I've been very busy, and I didn't get the gambling casino room here in the old mansion, fixed up. So I thought, while I'm doing some of the ledger books for my chicken restaurant and my car dealerships, I thought, I'm having a drink here, and I think, I'm going to kind of talk to y'all about what's going on out there. So that's my intro. I hope you all enjoyed it. And well, this is Colonel Braxton Beauregard Burlique the Fifth. Well, signing off until I see you all again next time.